Oh my God, the 3-year Canadian immigration plan. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone knows what the immigration minister and IRCC publicly announced. But does anyone know what they didn't tell you? Did you read between the lines? What does this plan and higher immigration numbers mean to you and your family? Good, bad, or indifferent? How will it affect IRCC's processing times for study permits, work permits, visitor visas, and PR applications? How will it affect success and approval rates for overseas embassy where you're located? Well, it all depends on which category you're in and where you're located. Do you believe everything your government tells you in your country? Why should you believe this one? Canada aims to welcome 465,000 new permanent residents in 2023, 485,000 in 2024, and potentially 500,000 by 2025. Today, we will do a deep dive into the Canadian Immigration Department's plan for the next 3 years, outlining both the upside, the downside for potential applicants, and how to prepare your own strategy to move to Canada. As well, at the end of our video today, we will let you know the conclusions you can actually take away from all this and what the government did not tell you intentionally. Hello, my name is Reza, if you haven't figured that part out yet, and I work with the Ingwe Canada immigration team, helping applicants move to Canada. And of course, criticizing the government's policies and budgets related to immigration at the same time. Let's do a quick recap of all the data we have received from the government before our feedback on what this all means to you. These are the ABCs of Canadian immigration in terms of the reports they've done in their official statistics. Quick clarification before we start. When reviewing any of these stats of IRCC, remember that economic programs under the IRCC means caregivers, provincial nominee programs, agri-food pilot, Atlantic immigration program, temporary public policies, federal business programs, and federal high-skilled programs such as the Express Entry. In 2021, Canada welcomed and processed the most immigrants it ever has in its entire history, with approximately 460,000 immigrants being processed successfully for PR. In terms of family reunification, 81,423 individuals were admitted under this category. Over 191,000 work and study permit holders transitioned from being temporary residents to permanent residents in Canada. A total of 1,467,333 travel documents were issued for study permits, visitor visas, and ETAs and work permits. It's a huge number, right? Almost 1.5 million. Interesting enough, 813,000 of those are ETAs, which is electronic travel authorization for visa-exempt countries. They're literally issued by email in 5 minutes. In general, 1.5 million, more than half of it is visa-exempt travelers. There was a total of 103,552 permit holders throughout the temporary foreign worker program, and under the international mobility program, which is mainly LMI exempt programs, there was a total of 313,294 work permit holders. And in 2021, IRCC finalized 6,000 caregiver applications for their permanent residencies, which is very low. IRCC continued to process immigrant entrepreneurs through the federal business immigration programs such as startup visa and self-employed, and is addressing the inventory of applicants that grew over the pandemic. In 2021, IRCC admitted 565 foreign entrepreneurs under these categories, which is almost nothing, and their family members to become permanent residents. That was for startup visa and self-employed combined. Here's some of IRCC's plans for 2023 and beyond based on what they've announced. The IRCC will continue to increase their use of artificial intelligence to process applications both inside and outside Canada. Humanitarian programs are prioritized for the government, and it's always the majority of their strategy and their statistics are based on humanitarian programs, more French-speaking focused sub-programs to be incorporated into all provinces, regions, and will be prioritized by IRCC going forward. And potential new programs for 2023 and beyond include design a municipal nominee program. So we've got regional, rural programs, provincial, but they will be working on a municipal nominee program that will be a new stream for permanent residency. And of course, Here's a list of the top 10 countries that immigrated to Canada in 2021 and what we believe will happen in the next 1 to 2 years with these source countries of applicants. Number 1, as usual, is India with over 32% of all permanent resident applicants. Number 2, China with 8%, Philippines number 3, and Nigeria number 4, each of being 4% of the total PRs. France being number 5 on the list, USA number 6, Brazil number 7, number 8, Iran, number 9, Afghanistan, and number 10, Pakistan. How do we believe these numbers will change over the next 2 to 3 years? I believe the United States will increase and come in the top 5. We believe that Nigeria will increase and keep increasing. Pakistan will come closer into the top 6 or 7. But our prediction for the next 3 years is that India and China will always hold the top 3, Philippines following closely, and Nigeria, US, and Pakistan pushing up those numbers higher as their situation changes in their home countries. Federal Economic Business category, which includes startup visa, self-employed category. In 2023, the IRCC has a high range target of 4,000 successful PR applicants for these two categories. And based on the previous year's experience, we can expect realistically 1,800 applications to be processed successfully for the upcoming year. The significance of this means more federal business immigration applications will be processed or taken in, but it also means more people will apply, which will in turn increase the number of files they need to process, hence keeping the processing slow. The upside is that based on this number, approximately 26% of the entire startup visa backlog will be processed in 2023. There's no clear indication in the budget on the new TR to PR pathway. We're still waiting. Where is it? Unsurprisingly, given that the immigration minister is from Nova Scotia, the IRCC plans to double actual processing of the Atlantic Immigration Program applicants in 2023. We will have to wait and see if they can actually achieve it. As well, they plan to almost double the PNP processing, the provincial nominee applicant processing, meaning they're allocating higher quotas to most provinces to be able to nominate skilled workers, international students, and entrepreneurs based on the province's priorities. 105,000 approximate successful PR applications to be processed in 2023. Under the family class, they processed 69,278 successful PRs last year, but only planning to increase this in 2023 to 78,000 on average, which is a very conservative number for this category. More resources to the parent and grandparent sponsorship category with a target of 28,500 processing for 2023. So this is a huge jump, as there's a lot of frustration by Canadian citizens and PRs about being able to bring in their parents and grandparents to Canada. And of course, you know that Canadian citizens are the voters which make it or break this government in future elections. They're also increasing refugees and protected person category, processing 76,305 in 2023. And I believe strongly that they will meet this target. Bad news for express entry applicants. In 2021, the IRCC processed 139,459 successful PR applicants from the express entry pool. But in 2023, it only plans 82,800 applicants. This supports our forecast that express entry points will remain high over 480 or 490 range and will be targeted towards specific occupations and categories in this upcoming year in 2023. If you're not already inside Canada or have an offer of employment or being nominated through the provincial programs, your chances just dwindled with the new Canadian government immigration plan for skilled immigrants through express entry. What the IRCC didn't tell you about this upcoming 3-year immigration plan. Here are the key points. There's over 600,000 international students inside Canada that the government will prioritize to convert to permanent residency after their graduation. There are over 300,000 Ukrainians under the Canada-Ukrainian authorization, and the government is planning specific programs to allow these applicants to convert to PR from inside Canada. The number of Ukrainians is expected to increase to 350,000 inside Canada with work permits. Considering these two factors, it seems as though the government's target of new PRs for 2023 will be made up of these two categories, or at least be prioritized within the various immigration programs. What does this mean to all other applicants, such as express entry or business categories? Well, tough luck. You're at the end of the line, and if you don't have an employer sponsoring you, or you're not already inside Canada with your entrepreneurial work permit or any other work permit, your chances just dwindled again. What many people don't know is that the IRCC is paid by the United Nations for every successful protected person application or refugee or asylum category that they process for Canada. Hence the reason they're so keen on this category and consider it as a fast-track way of getting paid and keeping up their image internationally as a humanitarian caring country. I have personal friends and acquaintances who have immigrated through this stream, and I'm not against it at all. It is needed to help people fleeing persecution and death. However, there are also many applicants who take advantage of these humanitarian programs, and that's a story for another video altogether. No clear TR to PR pathway, as promised, has been announced for international students and workers who are already inside Canada. This is long overdue, and considering no new announcements and lowered numbers for express entry targets for next year, how does the government expect to support the growing number of international students being admitted to the country on a yearly basis? We're injecting $23 billion into schools and related services every year for the Canadian economy. There has been no initiative or announcement about the caregiver program in Canada. A revamp is long overdue, backlogs are just too long, and the program is the most ineffective program out there. Hence, the Caregiver Association of Canada voicing their concerns about the government's inaction. Canada needs caregivers in huge numbers, and the government is not prioritizing this and doesn't seem to be listening. They also forgot to mention that in case they call a snap election anytime from now until 2025, there's a chance they will not control the parliament and hence the government, even as a minority government. Therefore, all these programs and targets will be in disarray, especially from 2024 to 2025. The risk is real and it exists, so don't underestimate this point. Other international crises. Can we expect more wars or international humanitarian crises between 2023 to 2025? I hope not, but definitely possible and a real risk to consider. How will this affect the Canadian government's capacity and plans to process more applicants? Therefore, a contingency plan is needed, and not all these numbers can be achieved as planned or announced. Did they forget to mention that they need to find and hire all the new staff they need to process all these applications in their 3-year plan? What about training? Oh, oops. The minister forgot to clarify this for everyone. They're depending more and more on artificial intelligence and computers to do the job. Didn't you hear? There's a labor crunch in Canada and there's not enough workers inside Canada to fill all these positions. And that problem also exists for the Canadian Immigration Department, IRCC, when trying to find, recruit, and train staff. Here's the conclusions we can take away from this 3-year Canadian immigration plan announced by the minister and the government. Sitting around the express entry pool with less than 480 or 485 points is useless unless you're in a high demand occupation, typically healthcare, IT, or other support service occupations. If you're a startup visa business applicant or self-employed applicant under the art, cultural, sports categories and already have an application in process, well, the good news is that you can be processed a bit faster now, and if you're a new applicant, don't expect any miracles. As the number of files to be processed increases, so do applications. We expect a new pipeline of applications to increase, hence keeping the backlog in place for at least another 1 to 2 years until the government can figure out how to process all these applicants. If you're sitting around overseas waiting to get your PR directly, it's not going to happen. Your chances of converting to PR are 10 times higher from inside of Canada versus outside, both for federal, rural, regional, and provincial programs. Family sponsorship and protected persons will be on the top of IRCC's list for priorities in 2023 and beyond. until this liberal government is in power. Who knows until when? Processing times will improve for inside Canada applications for visitor records, study permits, extensions, and work permits. Processing times for work permits on a global scale are expected to improve slightly. There's a lot of uncertainty on visitor visa applications from overseas, and we don't expect a huge improvement right away. Skilled immigration streams linked to employer sponsorships, whether PR and work permit, will be prioritized, including Atlantic Immigration Program, Provincial Nominee Program, Global Skills Strategy, Global Talent Stream, LMIA, and LMI Exempt Stream in the International Mobility Program. Family sponsorship processing times will remain a high priority for IRCC through their dedicated departments in Sydney, Nova Scotia for overseas applicants. There you have it, folks. Our deep dive analysis and what to take away from IRCC's 3-year Canadian immigration plan. If you're thinking about immigrating to Canada, look no further. Whether it's for investment, business, work, sponsorship, or studies, you're at the right place. I can guarantee you only one point. You will know what to expect, the entire process clearly laid out for you with all the risks identified, and where we can provide 100% support to you as a client. No surprises, no BS, just results. Our team speaks over 8 languages, and we help applicants from over 47 different countries with the Canadian immigration process. If you like, you can click the link below this video and get a free email assessment from our licensed team. And if you're interested in the Canadian Startup Visa, we will be hosting a webinar on November 29th. At Ingwe, we're experts at the program, and we can guide you through the whole process and tell you what's really going on with the Startup Visa program. Find the link down below to subscribe to this upcoming webinar. And of course, everyone knows, or if you haven't heard, if you've got questions about Canadian immigration, remember, we're here weekly live on our YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern North American Standard Time, where we answer all of your Canadian immigration questions for free on the spot. See you soon.